Hello, I'm Robert Barr. I'd like to introduce you to the Neighborhood Ministries Online University. When I was young, America was strong and held strong moral values. Now, as I look around, America's economy is only a shadow of its former self. In addition, people in general do not have the strong moral sense anymore. As I studied sociology in college, I became aware of the values people hold and how it affects their life. We have a series of courses on the basics of Christian faith and its values. He contrasts them with men's values. I've spent more than half a century as a pastor, social worker, and teacher. I grew up poor and understand the struggle to live from day to day. My main concern was focused on my survival. I received no Christian teaching. My life, like that of many around me, was focused on me and my needs, with very little concern for those around me. Since then, I've worked in the inner city and got to know the people well. Very few had any church teaching, and I saw those same values in many of the people. As I began to mingle with Christians, I found a concern for others. Christians generally had a genuine concern for others and their needs. Churches openly taught Christian values and spoke out on important issues. As a result, Christian values have often dominated the American landscape, though they have declined at times only to break out in a fresh revival. The church was actively teaching Christian values, and through its influence, Christian values dominated our education, media, entertainment, and political arenas. As a result, many of those without church teaching held Christian values, though they generally viewed the needs of others through their own well-being. In recent years, liberal teachers' organizations have quietly infiltrated the universities where teachers get their education, and they've infiltrated the publishers who produce the textbooks. So liberal values are now widely taught in the schools. Since then, churches have quietly dropped the teaching of values, so many members get their values solely from the schools and the media, and the people now support liberal values. As a result, liberal values have infiltrated many churches. The liberal view is based on the same values as those of the poor I found in the inner city. They're focused on self-gratification and self-preservation, which destroys the family and the community. That's why I wrote the series on Christian values. We also have a series of courses on understanding the world around us. Our country was created to empower people to control their own lives. Strong guards were enacted in the Constitution to protect the people from oppressive politicians. People were to control the politicians through regular elections. As citizens, we have the right and the responsibility to vote for candidates for public office that will serve us and help us to solve the problems we face. We also have a right and responsibility to understand the issues and make our own will known to the politicians. However, to do that, we must understand the issues and make our opinions known. As I look around, I see people everywhere who are hurting and are seeking answers to their pain. Yet they seem to be grasping at straws, for they have little understanding of the world around them. What is worse is that many don't seem to think that there is anything that they can do to make it better. Our country was founded on the principle that the people would control their lives through their right to vote. In the early America, people valued the right to vote, and they took it seriously. With public education and newspapers available to everyone, they were well informed on the issues they faced and openly debated them in the marketplace. Churches provided spiritual guidance through teaching Christian values. Over the years, America rose to be the greatest power in the world. It was a shining symbol of freedom. In recent years, liberal philosophy has begun creeping into our country. It has taken over the schools and the public media. They've increasingly pushed liberal values while suppressing those who oppose them. In addition, the church has grown silent and no longer provides spiritual guidance. As the liberal viewpoint has taken over, more and more people are adapting the views of those I once saw in the inner city, including many in the church. When I was asked to teach sociology, first at North Central State College, and later at Owens Community College, I was shocked to see how distorted and one-sided the textbooks were. I researched the topics and presented both sides so my students could recognize the difference. This curriculum on social issues has grown out of that course, but has been adapted to everyday language to help American citizens understand the issues. In the series on social issues, I talk about the various problems we face today and the institutions that are involved, including immigration, government, economics, including how the government influences it, also education, health care, welfare, and the problem on aging. We also have a series of courses on the church that transforms. When I was starting in the ministry, the church was strong, and a large percentage of the population either attended church or had a church upbringing and held Christian values. The church not only taught Christian values, but taught members to live out those values in their everyday life. As a result, those values were reflected and taught in schools, media, and government. The church was highly respected and considered a valuable asset in the community. Over the years, the church has lost its influence and today is largely ignored and often attacked. Liberal values have taken over the schools, media, and government. Some communities seek to push churches out of the community because they feel they're a divisive force and are of very little value. This is not the first time the church has faced such opposition, but it's always prevailed. As a result, I wrote the series on the church that transforms to show how society has changed and how it's affected the church. It also includes how it has overcome in the past and how it can overcome today. Thank you.